Well, hey friends, welcome back. This is day 24 of our 25-day Christmas Advent watercolor paint-along. And Merry Christmas Eve to you. Today we are going to be painting an Advent candle display. I would say normally a wreath, but I wanted to do something a little bit different than a wreath. So just follow along, and if you prefer sketching from a template, you can always find the templates on my website. But this one is actually fairly easy to sketch along. Now we're going to have a little wood block that our candles are going to rest in, and we're going to put some greenery across the page, kind of draping down, and we're going to add some pillar candles. That's why this one's just a little bit different than a normal. I want to make sure you make them fairly similar in size. Don't have to be perfect, but we do want them similar in size. It's okay if it takes a couple of tries to get it right. All right, and we're gonna add a little flame at the top. All right, before we jump in much further, just make sure that you're subscribed so you don't miss the rest of the series. Tomorrow is the last day of this series. So go ahead and tap that like button if you're painting along with me today. And let's get to painting. So I'm going to activate my watercolors here. And let's add that little bit of a glow around our candles. First, I'm going to use my brush and get around these flames. Just wet. I don't want it puddling, just a nice glistening, damp surround. I want to leave that central flame part white though. It's going to be a fairly bright part compared to the surrounding areas. All right, so we're going to go in and drop just a golden yellow just directly around the very edge of these flames. And then we will take some yellow ochre. It needs to be a little bit more diluted than what it is, and add that more golden glow just a little bit further out from those flames. Now if it's fairly rough like mine is, you can always go in with a damp brush, add a little more water to soften that up. And we actually want this to get down into the tops of our candles, because that candle light, it really kind of penetrates the body of the candle and creates a glow down here. All right, a nice, just real soft glow Yeah, just a touch more color if you need to. Whoop! That is quite concentrated. All right. Now we're going to take, so if you have looked at an Advent wreath before, the traditional colors are purple, purple, pink, purple, and then if you light one on Christmas Day, that one is going to be white. So we're gonna get the top of that white one painted in with just a soft glow. And I wish I could remember all these candles. Each one has a different meaning behind these colors. I wish I could remember what the white one stood for. But I will go over the different meanings of each of these candles as we get to them. All right. Let's start with the purple one over here. And I'm going to use purple. Now this first candle represents hope. And now a lot of times when you think of hope, you know, you're hoping something's going to happen. But the kind of hope that the Bible talks about is more of a confidence we have in the work that Jesus did. And so this is the confidence and the hope that we have through Jesus and his work. So I'm just gonna slowly layer in these colors. I've got some violet and then the purple, and the further down the candle we get and the further around the candle we get, I'm going to drop in just some little light touches of black to get that kind of deeper shadowing. And I went up here with the purple so you can see that it's kind of a glowy purple top. All right, now let's work on our second candle. Now we're gonna have just that little teeny bit of the glow reflecting from the other candles over here. So we're gonna make that a little lighter in color. And the way you get a lighter color is you just dilute it. Just add a little more water. Not a puddle of water, just real lightly. And the second candle represents peace. And this is the peace that we have knowing that our hope is found in Jesus. You can be at peace with God. And slowly just adding in my colors, the deeper colors, again towards the bottom, just that tiny bit of black. And adding in that purple. All right, let's get our pink candle in. Now I'm going to start with a little bit of, it might sound a little odd, burnt sienna more towards the top. And this is just going to give that candle glow effect. going to use this color over here. The way we get pink is just add a nice diluted pink to the, and to get some shadows in here, we don't want a whole lot of shadowing, but I'm going to add just a touch of green to that pink color. Now this pink candle represents joy. And that joy comes from the peace that you have and the hope that we found. I'm going to go up here and soften up this candle up here, the glow at the top. All right, let's move on to our third purple candle. And this candle represents love. Now this is the agape, well, if you know some Greek, the agape, sacrificial, unconditional love that Jesus showed to us. And like it says in Romans 5, that God demonstrates his love for us in this, that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. And I'm just layering in these purples, the violet and the purple. Get those deeper tones the further away from the flame we get. And again, just that little teeny bit of black. All right, now next I'm going to get a wooden base for these to sit in. I'm going to start with a somewhat diluted chocolate coffee brown. We're going to add in some texture and some wood grains in just a bit. I'm going to get the whole block put in first, and then we'll start with a more concentrated brown, and we'll just streak some of this over. And you can get in some Payne's gray too if you want, not Payne's gray, excuse me, Van Dyke brown, and just slowly kind of streak some bits across and get some of that wood grain added in. Your wood has so many different tones and textures to it. It's fun to get those little bits in there. All right. Now, before I move on to the greenery that I want to put in front, I'm going to get just a little bit of a background going on up here. Let's highlight some of that glow from the flames a little bit more. I'm going to use some Payne's gray. And just gonna go around all these candles, going around that glow. I'm gonna use a damp, clean brush and soften that edge. So it just kind of blends up real nice and gentle. And then I'm gonna go in and soften that edge between the glow and that Payne's gray in the background. You might have to clean your brush a couple of times if it starts to pick up too much color. Don't want to move it around too much. Want that line to be nice and soft. Can always go back in with a little bit more. It'll kind of softly melt in there, and then don't forget to get these areas between your candles. Now I'm gonna come up kind of loosely towards the glow of the candles. Be careful not to disturb your candles too much. Soften that up real gently. All right. And if you feel like it needs to come up a little higher, you can always add just a little bit more up here. Bring that color up a little. Again, soften with the damp brush. All right, now the wooden block is pretty dry for me, so I'm gonna start going in. I'm going to get a little bit smaller of a brush, and I'm gonna go in with my deep green. Some loose, real loose strokes here. Like we have a real nice fluffy garland that's just draping in front of this real loosely. We will add some more dimension with a little bit more greens and just a little bit, but all right, I'm gonna go in with my olive green. Just add some more tonalities to this. Get a little depth, more organic look to it. And you can really press and then gently pull up on your brush, kind of create these swooping branches. Vary your strokes. Some of these you can get like little pine needles kind of coming down. Let's add some variation and interest. right, I am going to add just a little bit more definition to this wood. Going into my chocolate brown, Van Dyke brown. Let's get a little bit more defined wood grain going on. All right, and that is day 24 of our Advent watercolor series. I'm just gonna sign the bottom here. I'm gonna go ahead and use the pink. I always kind of like to use a color in more than one place. I just wanted to share a little verse with you as I'm signing here. It comes from Matthew chapter 5, verse 14. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Just to remind you that Jesus came as the light of the world, not just to bring, good feelings or whatever, but he came to fill you with his light and for us to reflect that light to the rest of the world. So hopefully these Advent candles remind you to share the light of Jesus with those around you. And this is day 24 of our Christmas watercolor Advent series. I hope you really enjoyed painting this along with me today. And I'd love for you to leave a comment and tell me how it went for you, if you had struggles or what your favorite part was. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you can join me for the last day of the Advent series. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow on Christmas Day. Thank you.